recently I had the opportunity to go to Atlanta to share the Dharma. And one of the opportunities that I had was to speak with the Emory Buddhist Club. And this was really nice because as a faculty member, I had occasionally gone to the Emory Buddhist Club and felt like I kind of knew the community there. It was much grown since then and really incredible to see the positive changes. But it was beautiful to have the chance to share with them. And knowing that I was sharing on the last day of that they would meet for the semester because it was finals, I wanted to do something that really kind of would be nice for finals, uplifting, but also recognize the fact that they had been meeting all year and really probably had some basics. So the structure that they typically use is to begin with meditation and then to have some sort of sharing. So I started with a meditation on the kindness of others, and starting with the kindness of dear ones, thinking about the teachers, family members, and mentors that had helped them, say, learn to write, as they were probably writing many papers and essays for final exams. And then thinking about the strangers responsible for creating the laptop and other things that they were using. But now, when we think about the kindness of others, we like also to include that third category of difficult people or enemies. And I think that's a little trickier to meditate on if you haven't already had some teachings on it. So that's what I wanted to share with them, is to really think about the kindness of people that we might think are jerks, right? We don't always think that we have enemies, but sometimes there might be that person who cuts us off in traffic, or that classmate who's always acting in an obnoxious way, that we might label them a jerk. So we have many different techniques for, say, equalizing or all sentient beings, or developing equanimity and seeing that even people who are jerks in this life have been kind to us in past lives. They've been our mother in past lives. But knowing that the Emory Buddhist Club was going to have some students in it who maybe weren't wholly Buddhist, maybe didn't believe in past lives, I also wanted to really take the approach of looking at just in that moment when someone is saying something to you that's challenging or acting in a way that you find upsetting, how can you see kindness in that exact moment? So that was something I hope to share with them. And I don't necessarily have, the best words to say on my own, but Shantideva does. And so I wanted to share Shantideva with them, knowing that many of them would not have been exposed to this text before. And in fact, at the beginning, when I asked how many of you were familiar with this, mostly it was the people who I knew were practicing in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition at Drupal Noseling and the Tibetan Buddhist monks present. Most people there weren't familiar with it. So in a way, I could have just read all of chapter 6 to them. I took a slightly different approach. We had a discussion, and I tried to select some verses that I'd picked out ahead of time to try to kind of go with what they were sharing, what ideas they had. But I wanted to present here, since I found it really beautiful to go through and look at Shantideva's verses with this specific thought in mind. How can I see the kindness of someone who is being a jerk in that moment? So there were kind of three big overarching themes that I pulled out that I find helps me in my practice. And the first is that we can see these as opportunities to develop our own good qualities. And there's many good qualities that we can develop when someone is giving us something that's a little bit difficult to work with. And the first would be fortitude, or patience. And there's a whole chapter on it. I won't read the whole thing, but a few of the verses that really spoke with me, and I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but pulling them together in a way that makes sense to me. These are from chapter 6, and I'm using the Padmakara translation with some edits based on the terminology that we typically use here at the Abbey. So what does Shantideva say that we can think about when someone's being difficult as a way to cultivate fortitude? There is nothing that does not grow light through habit and familiarity. Putting up with little cares, I'll train myself to bear with great adversity. The beggars in this world are many, attackers are comparatively few. For as I do no harm to others, those who do me injury are rare. So like a treasure found at home, enriching me without fatigue, all enemies are helpers in my bodhisattva work, and therefore they should be a joy to me. Because of those whose minds are full of anger, I engender fortitude in myself. They are thus the cause of fortitude, fit for veneration, like the Dharma. So putting this together in this way, I think about the fact that when someone says something to me where I don't necessarily like the tone of their voice, or I'm upset about the content of what they're saying, that is such a small difficulty. And I aspire to generate fortitude like the Tibetan lamas who were imprisoned and tortured by the Chinese and were still able to have compassion towards the people who were doing that to them. And so those little moments throughout the day when someone, I think they're kind of being a jerk, I can actually see that that is a great kindness because that is what I need to habituate myself to so I can really cultivate fortitude. Second good quality that we can develop is compassion. So again from Shantideva. Those tormented by the pain of anger will never know tranquility of mind. Strangers they will be to every pleasure. Sleep departs them, they can never rest. Noble chieftains full of hate will be attacked and slain by even those who look to them for honors and possessions. From family and friends estranged, and shunned by those attracted by their bounty, people of anger have no joy, forsaken by all happiness and peace. So when I go through my day, it's not too hard to have compassion for the kitties, even when they bite me, to have compassion for people suffering through earthquakes and natural disasters. But I also need to have compassion for that person in front of me who I think is a jerk. And so seeing that if I really want to perfect compassion and have compassion for each and every sentient being, these people are an amazing opportunity and are really providing me with that opportunity to develop my own compassion. Kind of the second big picture category I was thinking about was that these people are being kind to us and helping us see our own faults and limitations. That normally if I'm just by myself or, only surrounded by people who are kind to me, I don't squarely see my own limitations. So one of those is regarding the 8 worldly concerns. Scorn and hostile words and comments that I do not like to hear. My body is not harmed by them. What reason do you have, O mind, for your resentment? Contempt and scorn that others show me, now and in my future lives, since none of it can bite and swallow me, why is it that I'm so averse to it? Those who stay close by me then, to ruin my good name and cut me down to size, are surely there protecting me from falling into ruin in the realms of sorrow. For I am one who strives for freedom. I must not be caught by wealth and honors. How could I be angry with ones who work to loose me from my fetters? So again, if only I'm hearing sweet words and praise and having good sense pleasures and people that, help me have a good reputation. Well, perhaps I'm not coming face to face with the fact that I am still tied to the 8 worldly concerns. So when people are criticizing me or saying words that I perceive as criticism, it is then this amazing opportunity to see, wow, this is the 8 worldly concerns. This is not Dharma practice. This is an opportunity to overcome it. And in a bigger picture, and one that for me comes up again and again, is also knowing that I need to really work with my own mind. That anytime I start to say, oh, this person's a jerk, the next thought is, this is what they need to do differently. This is how they need to change. And on a good day, I then go, oh no, what I need to do is work with my mind. And Shantideva has many excellent verses on this, coming, I think, mostly from chapter 5. The hostile multitudes are vast as space. What chance is there that all should be subdued? Let but this angry mind be overthrown, and every foe is then and there destroyed. To cover all the earth with sheets of hide, where could such amounts of skin be found? But simply wrap some leather round your feet, and as if the whole earth had been covered. Likewise, we can never take and turn aside the outer course of things, but only seize and discipline the mind itself, and what is there remaining to be curbed. So I love keeping these verses in mind, that again, when someone gives me something to work with, I can remember, right, I need to practice the Dharma. I need to work with my mind and not just try to change external things, which can be very easy, but isn't going to result in benefit to anyone. So the third thing I try to bring to mind when I face someone acting in a difficult way is that this is an opportunity to really remember that I need to completely eradicate all of my own faults. And what is actually the path for doing so? So there's some beautiful verses from chapter 6 related to this. I am not angry with my bile and other humors, fertile source of pain and suffering. So why should I resent my fellow creatures, victims too of like conditions? For though they are unlooked for, undesired, these ills afflict us all the same. And likewise, though unwanted and unsought, defilements nonetheless are quick to come. Never thinking, now I will be angry, people are impulsively caught up in anger. Irritation likewise comes, though never plans to be experienced. Every injury whatever, the whole variety of non-virtuous deeds, is brought about by circumstances. None is independent, none autonomous. Thus, when enemies or friends are seen to act improperly, be calm and call to mind that everything arises from conditions. If things occurred to living beings, following their wishes and intentions, how could sorrow ever come to them? For there is no one who desires to suffer. So when I see someone else acting under the influence of anger, if I have that thought of, why are they acting like this? Why are they choosing to be a jerk? That's not a realistic thought. They're not choosing to be angry. They're not choosing to be in a bad mood. Just as I don't choose to be angry. I don't choose to be in a bad mood. But simply saying, I don't want to be angry, as I frequently say, is not a sufficient cause to actually not be angry. So if I want to overcome the afflictions because I don't want to be a jerk, I actually need to create the causes and conditions to do so. I need to purify, I need to create merit, I need to realize emptiness and progress along the path. And so whenever I can actually bring this to mind, when someone else is coming at me with an attitude I don't necessarily like, it's that opportunity to remember, right, if I don't want to be like this, I must practice the path all the way to Buddhahood, and then I can rid the world of one jerk, this one.